Okay, guys. This is Heidi and Stephan Muller from Kinetic Events for the Expedition Africa Cape St. Francis event, 120k event and a 60k event at this wonderful, beautiful resort, Cape St. Francis Resort. As you all know, for those of you who are following us, if you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you will know that we are here already. We made the big travel from Johannesburg over the weekend, and we're using this week for this event especially, we had to do a lot of work with the farmers and permissions and things, so we needed a little bit of extra time on the ground for this weekend's event. We are, of course, super excited. I've posted more photos today. It's absolutely beautiful. Damien, you asked me now, how do we feel or how it is. It's actually such a blessing to do what we do. So after so many months, basically stuck in Joburg and not having the sort of freedom and privileges that maybe most of you have living on the coast, yeah, it is actually truly a blessing to say that we love what we do and that we have this privilege to put these races together. So we also want to say thank you so much for your support. For those of you who's been with us for years, thanks for your support. It's wonderful and we're very thankful. And for the new guys, there's quite a few new faces and people, and so many people who contacted us. Don't worry, don't panic. I try to talk all of you through it. So we're going to try to make this as easy as possible, but also welcome to our adventure racing family. And for all the new guys, you will actually see that this guys and this people and this family is just amazing. So it's a big, wonderful adventure racing community. Don't be afraid to ask, or to ask somebody you think he looks a little bit more professional and he knows what he's doing. You can ask them. They won't, well, some of them will, push you into the wrong direction and say, no, you see pointers there, and it's actually that side. I hope they won't do that. So take the confidence and ask the older generation and guys to assist you guys and just have a wonderful, wonderful event. We also want to say thank you for all the people who's attempting the 60k route. We haven't had it before. We added it to this event. We will see how it goes and make a decision if that is maybe something we would like to continue for next year or not. So from our side, we will run through everything again. I see somebody is still not on mute. Yeah, that's Stephan. I'm going to hand over to Stephan and we'll take it from there. Okay, Stephan.
Good evening, everybody. We send you a mail. We're going to see that everybody got all the documents. So there's some documents for the 120 and some for the 60. So make sure you only print the distance that's applicable to you, so you don't get confused. So you should have a logistical planner, which just basically gives you a rundown of the route and what boxes you get and what your legs are and the leg lengths and those type of things. You should have a flow chart. A flow chart just for more for beginner things. The flow chart looks like this. This flow chart, which just basically gives you a rough idea of how you will proceed through the course. Okay, we'll go through that later on. I'll send you a sample map of a 1 to 50,000 map on an A4 size. Remember, that's a sample map, so don't look for those points on the course. They're not here. And then lastly, you got a race book. So we're going to go through the race book and see if there's anything that you don't understand, and just go through the route. Okay, so everybody knows to be here on Friday. We have a registration on Friday night at 7 o'clock. We pretty much do 5 minutes a team or less than 5 minutes per team. If we're efficient, we're going to get it all done in 40 minutes or 50 minutes. So that will be a first station where there's a medical station. We're just handing your full medical form. So make sure you print that form. Make sure you fill it in. All the members in the team that have signed it. So you just hand it in, so you don't have to waste any time. Also, then you'll proceed towards the equipment inspection. So there's I think it's 8 items or 10 items that's on that list in the race book. Make sure you have that with you. There's 3 different equipment stations. You'll place it on the table. The marshal will check it, and you will move on. So it's quite a quick process. 10 items. And then We'll take a team photo for the live tracking website. And then lastly, you'll collect your race boxes, which is a plastic box, A and a B box. Also paddles, if you book paddles, you get paddle bag. You get your maps for different distances, different map. We'll go through it just now. Your bike boards, which you will get, that you can attach to your bikes. And then the next thing is basically then to pack your equipment. So in the book, we did indicate 10 o'clock. You can pack it any time when you're ready. So if you do your registration at 7:30, you finish, and you're ready packed by 8 o'clock, the trailers and the trucks are already marked where you pack it. So you don't have to actually wait until 10 o'clock. For those people who's not sleeping at the resort or who have to drive somewhere else to another accommodation. So let's try and pack it before 10 o'clock so we can start moving it along. Right, then Saturday morning. If there's any questions at any time, just type it in there and we'll answer those questions. So race morning, basically you cycle to the start from wherever you stay. If you're driving from some far place away, park your car at the resort. Don't park your car at the start. Come park at the resort. There's ample parking outside, and then get your bikes from here and then proceed to the site to the start. It's only a few kilometers. You'll see when you get your first map. Right, at the start we'll give your A boxes. We'll pack A boxes from the night before. Will be there. We'll also be obviously transition 1. We'll give you your spot trackers. We will then have a little last sort of briefing, 5 minutes or so, and then we'll start. All right, Sunday morning when you for those 60-kilometer event people, obviously you're welcome. Your Sunday morning breakfast are included. So if you can make it back here, it will be nice. Otherwise, mainly for the 120 people, but all are welcome to come. It's all paid for already. And then after that, you need to go pick up your bicycle at transition 3. So obviously, 60-kilometer teams, you can pick it up on Saturday, right? Because you would know by that stage where you are. All right, so then we go to page 2 there. The equipment inspection, just bring those items with. We'll go through those 4 stations, nice and quick. And the only thing there is remember the 60-kilometer athletes. You don't need any illumination devices like a glow stick or a battery-operated one. You don't need it because you shouldn't be paddling at night. If you paddle at night, then it's going to be a long day out for you. But you shouldn't be it. But most of the, not most, but probably half of the 120s will be paddling at night. So make sure that you have that. Right, map boards for teams that don't know map boards. The new team, there is map board. There is a person in Johannesburg, Franco, he makes these map boards and he always gives us a box of them. So if you want to rent them, contact him. His number's on there, and then he will
put it down.
Yeah, then he will, the numbers in the book there, then he will send us a list of who booked it, and then we basically run it through him. All right, transitions is where you change from discipline, so from a run to a cycle or a cycle to a paddle. Check in there, and anything that's indicated present at that transition, like your boxes, your paddle bags, water, sleeping facilities are indicated at that leg. So let's look at that. Right, so very important then on your okay, so basically emergency procedure. All right, so you have one charged cell phone per team. If you have a problem, phone us first to see how we can help you. If you're a team of 4 and you don't get cell phone reception, split up, move to a higher point. If you're a team of 2, let's work out what is safe in that scenario. So if you can't get hold of us and it's quite an emergency, you've got 2 options on your tracker. I'll show you that tracker when we start. There's 2 buttons there. 2 buttons, a help button and a SOS button. So the help button just tells us we have a problem. We are still moving forward, and we are we know that you have a problem. We'll send someone to transition. And then lastly is the SOS button. Just be aware that the SOS button is a international SOS button, so it goes to the UK and then comes all the way to EMS here and say probably PE or something, and also to us. So there's quite a palaver if you push it and you don't really need that assistance. But it is there if you need immediate help and you've got a serious problem. Right, rubbish, please. We don't want that every farmer transition 53 rubbish bags to be taken away by the farmer. So rubbish, each two black bags per team. Put it in your box, fill it up. When you get here, either leave it at the resort or preferably someone take it out. So we don't have to burden the resort also with all that amount of rubbish. Okay, resupply boxes, you'll see it tomorrow, Friday night. Just 2 plastic boxes. There's a lid. You can read through all the instructions. It's quite self-explanatory. Important on the kayaks, normally we have a numbered kayak for each team. So there's no numbers this time, all right? So there will be kayaks in the area where you collect them. You choose the kayak you want. Don't worry about the number. But your paddle bag and your box will have a number. So don't use anybody else's box, paddle bag, but you can use anybody's kayak. Right, the rest of the stuff is self-explanatory. Only thing with the cycles, cycle board, so we can see at every transition whose cycle is there, if there's any issues. Plus also the red light, obviously for teams who are going to cycle through the night. Have that handy. You should have it anywhere on your bike. Right, paddle the same. If you bring your own paddle, when you get your team number on arrival, just put a piece of duct tape on it, mark it in case it falls out of your bag, but otherwise it will always be in your bag, so it shouldn't be a problem. If you did rent, if you ask for us to bring your paddle, it will already have a number on. All right, kayak bag is just a very big black plastic bag where you can put all your kayak gear in. So anything you need, if you want to put the tow rope, if you want to put the seat, if you want to put the wetsuit in, anything you're going to paddle with can go in there. The only thing you don't go in there is no food and water. Right, it can't handle that weight, especially on water. So keep that in your boxes. Any other paddle-related bag, equipment in that bag. Important on this race, the paddle on your kayak leg, your paddle bag, which is now be empty after you've taken all your equipment out, will paddle with you. So make sure what you put in there is not any excess stuff, because that paddle bag goes with you in your boat, and when you enter the paddle bag, you fill it up again. So just pack what you really need. Right, it's a very safe area. Just use normal common sense. Remember, on the roads is for people who haven't done adventure races, not closed. There's no marshal at intersections and stuff like that. So you follow the rules of the road and know you are the smallest target on the course. Right, then supporters. Anybody bring supporters? It's very important that some of these private areas that we negotiate with the landowners are quite delicate areas, and it's not always easy to get permission. It sometimes takes us on the river leg. It took us a few visits before they allowed us to do what we're going to do there. Also, another thing is, after the race, don't say, "Oh, I love that place. I'm going to show my friends what we did there," and then you rock up on the guy's farm and just swim down his river and something. Okay, so be very cautious of that. That all these are only for the race. Right, so support is only allowed at the start area, which is also obviously T1, and they're also allowed at T4, which is a restaurant. And when we get on the race, you'll know which restaurant it is. And obviously the finish area, which is the resort. But they're not allowed at any of the transitions of transition 2 and transition 3. It's also locked up, most of those transitions with access gates. All right, so the maps we give you, you've got about 8 maps, A3 and A4 size. And we have our first leg is a Google map. Okay, live tracking is important. Tell all your friends and family that you are going to be live, that they can see what you're doing. Share that address with them. You normally get 2,000 to 3,000 people following a race like that. So it's quite important for us that a lot of people are on there. Right, then control boards. The control board. Okay, so a control board looks like this. So just the board of Expedition Africa. It's got a letter on A, B, C, D, etc. like that. And the first leg is a punch one. There will be a red punch like this. It will be hanging on the bottom. You'll use this punch to basically punch your passport on the first 3 points. Otherwise, you'll choose the letter and you'll mark it on your passport. So a passport looks like this. It's just basically a page with letters on. So the first point is either A, B, C, D, or E. You'll see which letter it is, and you will mark it with a marker. On the first 3 legs, you'll see here, it's got 3 blocks. There's 3 different OPs in any order, and you'll just punch it in there. The 60-kilometer looks the same, but it just misses the middle section. There's a gap before you get on. But it's quite self-explanatory, and we'll cover it again when we hand it out to you. All right. That's very important in this race. Tides, look at the tides there. For the last leg, you're going to be in an area where tides can be very effective, and obviously on the paddle. The pushing tide, pulling tide, going to make a big difference on that paddle. So it will, look, it is what it is. When you get there, you have to paddle. You can't wait for 6 hours, but it will slow you down and speed you up. All right, so then important, we're going to give each team a bib. It's basically just the shirt outer laying with a number on. So we work with numbers and not names. Make sure you wear that at all times. Don't lose that. Um, then the compulsory equipment for those people new to the sport, that equipment that you check, that's the equipment that's always with you. In your backpack, or remember, backpack is not compulsory. So one person want to carry everything, that's also fine. But that equipment must be per item or per team item with you at all times. Okay. Gates, there's not many gates on this route. Actually, no gates. No gates. We were in Heidelberg 2 weeks ago. There was about 500 gates. Okay, so if a gate is open, there's actually one gate on the hike. Yeah. So if the gate is open, walk through it. If it's closed and you approach it, open it, close the gate, please. So leave it as it is. If you jump through a fence for whatever reason, don't climb over the fence, climb through the fence. And please don't break any fence. If you do break it, just tell me so I can fix it. And then for the newcomers, remember this is not the triathlon. So if we say 10-kilometer hike or trek, it doesn't mean in an hour you finish. You can take 2 to 3 hours for this. Okay. So it is longer than you expected because it's the slowest pace. You have to navigate. No always paths and everything. So just look at the time I predicted there, and work on your food and your water for that specific time, so you don't run into any problems. Right? All the maps are pre-plotted with control points as you saw there, but you can bring like a marker or something if you want to draw a specific route if you need to or not. Right, then yeah, the landowners and their property. If you see any landowner or anybody, say thank you, be friendly, just show your appreciation that we can use their space. All right, so then if you're on page 8, the next part of the book, if you were a 120-kilometer event person, you would print 6 pages. And if you were 60-kilometer, you only print 4 pages. So don't mix it up and do the wrong leg with the different map. All right, so let's go to the leg one. That's the same for everybody. All right, there's 3 OPs. So remember the difference between the OP and the CP. The orienteering point or OP is in any order. So you can choose, when you get your map, which will be about 5 minutes before the start, you can choose in which order you want to do these 3 points. Okay, just obviously for us to split the field up a bit, get a bit of social distancing in there. And then from CP1, it's a control point. You have to follow it in order. So you can't then choose the route that you want to follow, but it is normally the fastest way to do it in order. Right, so remember that in the beginning there, you'll cycle, get to the start just before 5 or just after 5. You'll find your A box there, you'll get a tracker, we'll give you a map, we'll give you a little briefing again, and at 5:30 we'll start running. So important here for teams who haven't done it before, running shoes. So obviously your cycling shoes will always stay with your bicycle. But your running shoes, if you're on a 60-kilometer, you have 2 legs that you will run. Your first leg is run and your last leg is run. And you're going to paddle with maybe the same shoes or not. So plan where you're going to see these things. Because if you cycle with your cycle shoes and you haven't packed your running shoes in the right box, you might get the transition and you have to do next leg in your cycle shoes. So just work on it. If you have issues that, just contact me. I'll explain it a bit better. But it's more important, obviously, for the 120, because they have 3 or 4 legs where they will use shoes other than their cycle shoes. Right, on the first area where we start, you can see obviously the start is the Lighthouse. It's quite easy to see when you're here, where that is. There's tracks there marked for cycling and tracks marked there for running. Try and keep to that. It's 5:30 in the morning. We shouldn't have too much other people here. There's very quiet here at the moment, but maybe on the weekend there's more other people. And then also just keep it quiet. People might be sleeping still. And remember, when you're going to cycle through town on your second leg, just be careful of the traffic there. Okay, then on the leg 2, there's 2 pages, one for the 120 and one for the 60. Is there any questions? Nothing yet. Any questions? Just type it in there. Right, so we got 2 legs there for 120 and 60 for the leg 2, 2 different distances. All right, and then remember after your first transition, there will be a truck and a trailer. Don't worry too much about it then. The marshal will tell you, take your A box, close it again, put it on the trailer if you're 60. If you're at other distance, 120, put it on the truck, whatever. We'll tell you there on the so you don't have to remember that. And then you start with the cycle leg. There's nothing really on the cycle leg. You got 7 checkpoints, 120, and you got the first same 6 for the 60, but you skip the 7th one, and then you arrive at 120s will be a transition 2, and the other 60s will arrive at transition 3. Okay, that's the cycle leg. No problem there. So then we go just to What's the question there? Try not to do it. I'm not going to be there, and there's more courtesy for other users, okay? But we're not going to penalize you because we're talking about a couple of meters. So if you cycle on the road, there's a split and it says no cycling and no running, stay on those tracks, okay? But they're not going to put the marshal there to see if you actually did it, okay? So just do it, easy. Right, that's fine, yeah. Buy computers, yes, for sure, you can use buy computers. It's quite important. Okay, so box A, that question for box A. Remember, you started at transition 1. If you go back to leg 1 on page number 10, all right, page number 9, all right. So the end of that leg, when you arrive there again, you will have your box A open. You'll finish your box A, and before you start on, if you go to whatever distance you are, page 11 or 10, you'll see the first line on leg 2 is pack your resupply box back into the transport indicator. And then you leave. So yes, you'll have access. Right, so yes, you will put your, so basically you'll cycle to the start. That's probably what the question is. You will cycle to the start. You can take your cycle shoes, put it in your box, or you can just put it next to your bicycle. You don't have to pack it away. I will just put it next to my box, put the helmet on the handlebars. When I run in there, I will put my running shoes in the box, get my cycle gear and go. Right, if you don't have only one pair running shoes, you have to put your running shoes in your backpack. Otherwise, you'll have a problem further on the route. But hopefully, you have 2 pairs or paddle shoes or something like that. Right, then for the 120, there, then we get to the trek and a swim there. All right, so basically, we were there today to put those points out. CP8, where there's a CP point marking the path down the river. There's quite a few paths there. The first 10, 20 meters are quite clear. Then you can do what you want. So we put the point up on the ridge. We didn't put it down the river, so you can enter the river. There's many places there, but you have then to go to the river and follow the river all the way to the sea. You can't stay up and try and go through the rest of the farm to circumvent. It's anyway much quicker down here. On the river, it's pretty much the same level when we swam it. You can we did it with we used a lilo just for the fun of it. It wasn't really necessary. It was just give us some color for our scouting. But you can just swim it. If you're a competitive athlete, you're probably going to cross the river 3 or 4 times to run on the better side of the river. You probably don't have to swim if you really want to scramble and climb under the thorn trees, but they'll slow you down. So probably about 4 swims, and it's not a wide river. If you're not so sure, then maybe the best probably thing is one of those little swim boards, like kick boards, that you can carry in your hand the whole time, and you can just sort of, you don't want to get into the water too much. I wouldn't take a lilo. You will lose a lot of time, and you'll probably get a puncture also along the way. But yeah, stay in the river. That's the story on that leg, and then you return back to 3. You'll see your box B there, and you will continue on the cycle. So the cycle is back to T3. There's no really anything funny there. So for the 60-kilometer event on leg 2, you will reach the gate of T3, and the code is 209 hash, 2019 hash. And for the 120 on leg 4, you'll reach this gate. So there is sometimes a problem with the gate. So if you push it in and it doesn't move, bag, is that the look? I presume that's your backpack you want to carry on leg 3.
Yes, always.
Remember, a backpack is not compulsory, so you need your compulsory gear with you. So however you do it between the team, you have to carry all those items that you check in whichever way. But remember, if you don't have a bag, you're further away from your hydration system, which is always a risk. So you can have a very small backpack for the weaker member, like a trail running vest, and then the larger items can be carried by the stronger person. So you can make your own plans, as long as you all have their equipment all the time. All right, and we will check it, so don't not have it. Right, so get back to the gate there at the beginning of T3. Sometimes the button doesn't work, then just check before you get panicky. Just check if the gate doesn't open itself. Doesn't open itself without pushing the key, but normally it works. So maybe multiple users sometimes get a bit jammed. Right, so then at the At the start of the kayak leg, not so much for the 60, but definitely for the 120, for the slower teams, you're probably going to spend a bit of time there in the night. We still have a national curfew between 12 and 4. I don't know if the president is talking tomorrow night. I hope it doesn't change, but that's the moment. So you cannot move between that time. So basically, the first part of the paddle, you're pretty much out of view. So you can start at 3 o'clock the paddle. So the slow team, if you arrive there after 8, or you don't want to leave before 8, there's a big marquee we put up there. We've got about 50 mattresses there. You'll have a nice night there. Pack some extra food in your box. If you really don't want to do that, you can always cycle back from there to the start when you miss those 2 leg of feet, which we don't want to happen, but it is an alternative. For the 60s, you shouldn't have a problem. You shouldn't be around 8 o'clock at night still there. Right, there's quite a carry down to the river, probably about 800 meters of quite a steep downhill. There's marked with red arrows. The red arrows looks like this. Red arrows like this. Just follow those arrows till you put your boat in the water. Right, check the tides. It will make a huge difference. Okay, so the kit we're going to check, and the kit that you have to carry one, is the one that we do the equipment inspection. All right, so on that page, number 2, there's a list of 10 items. We want those 10 items with you all the time, except the illumination device for the 60. That's not necessary. But everything else, you need to have on you, right? Obviously, the helmet doesn't have to be you. You're not on the cycle. That's it. For the rest, and the life jacket. So we're not going to check a trekking leg if your life jacket is with you. But your jacket, your headlight, your space blanket, your whistle, the team compass, team cell phone, team medical kit, that must be with you. And the helmet on the cycle and the life jacket on the paddle leg. That question. So this is in table on page 2, yeah. Photo, arrow. There's the arrow. Take a photo, and take this one for left, that's for right, arrow, and that is straight arrow. All right, got the arrows also there. All right, so then on the paddles, remember that 8 o'clock. Okay, so if you're slow, very nice place to overnight, and then you just 3 o'clock the next morning you can start, or later, you should be then in time for breakfast. That was a new thing for adventure racing, a national curfew. All right, very important on a map, on the kayak map, but those that know Kayaks and Francis will know it is. There's you enter, if you come down the river, you enter Marina, which all the canals are at 2 places. Don't enter close to the sea. That whole front beach have been washed away a month or so ago, so it's quite dangerous down there at the mouth. We actually wanted to include the swim over that area initially, but it's a bit dangerous now. So make sure you do the turn off correctly into the canal. Don't go all the way to the sea. But pretty much only for the people who will be paddling at night. So make sure that where you get into the channels is the right place. Yeah, and as I said, check your tides. Right. Same thing for the 60, and then for the last leg, there's a mistake on page 16 for the 120. T4 is not farm, but T4 is a restaurant. Any other errors, just tell me. We have a bit of a slip up there. Then this route is a lot on the coast, so make sure that the tides will play a major role. So just look at when you're high tide and low tide. So for the middle pack, I think it will make quite a difference. I did design the route that you can access at the high tide, but it's much quicker on low tide, obviously. You can then take a lot of shortcuts. You don't have to go inland, back up. But it is safe and high tide, the whole scenario. Just be sure between 16 and between 15 and 16, we'll follow our red arrows again. There's some tricky bits that you have to follow there, which is not so self-help. Just follow the arrows to get through that harbor area. Yeah, you can probably print it. Not gonna make any. You can print Google Maps if you really want to. You want a bigger scale? Yeah, not the end of the world. You can do that. T4 is a restaurant. Yeah, you here. Water. You don't need water in your resupply boxes. There is water at all the transitions, except T1, obviously. But at T1, you arrive with a bicycle. You should have enough water. You have water for the little run. You'll be fine. But at transition 2 is a farm with toilets, water. Transition 3 is a sort of a commercial farm next to a commercial sort of venue. They got as a campsite, so they got water, toilets, the whole thing. T4 is a restaurant, so it's just during maybe late at night, but you're not going to arrive there after 9 or 10. The restaurant's still open, so all the facilities are open. Yeah, so you don't need water in your. And normally we don't allow water at all because of the weight of the boxes, but on the smaller races, no problem. But no water in there. But remember, you can have Coke and fruit juice and liquid that you can't get, but water plenty all over.
The same. The same. You'll see the map we give you. It's not making any difference. It's the same.
Yeah, you don't need more maps. We give you enough.
No, the maps are very clear.
All right.
It doesn't matter if you're going to do.
And then when you get to the finish, we just need to hand in your passport so we can check. The only place where we're going to check the passport en route is at transition 3. Marshal will check your passport there. Otherwise, we'll check at the end again. Hand in your tracker. If it's a day finish, you can still go fetch your bike. If it's a night finish, to fix it the next morning at transition 3. And just before you leave, make sure you put your empty boxes at the same place you found them on Saturday night. So the 60 is a leave, we're not coming back. Just empty your boxes out, clean them out, and put them back in a hole where you received them the first time. Right.
Yeah.
You can use a watch. You just shouldn't use anything that's got a GPS on. Okay, that is only the gaiters. I had my panga out today. I think I took all the gaiters needed, and I wouldn't. There's a couple of falls, but I wouldn't race the gaiters. Not this area. No. Any more questions there? Everybody happy?
Sorry, just my question on the curfew. So if we get to the start of the paddle at 9 p.m., can we start the paddle or not?
No. You have to leave there before 8 o'clock.
And then if you get there at 8 o'clock, then you can only leave at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. If you leave at 7:55, you're good. Because we worked it out. It'll take you from there. You'll get in 4 hours to an area where there's not many other people, so they probably won't arrest you then. So yeah. So just don't do that. Get there before 8 o'clock. That's the simple question, I think. You shouldn't have I'll be surprised if most people don't get there before 8 o'clock. That is one of the reasons why we're starting at 5:30. Definitely, we're predicting winning time is something like 5 o'clock, just before 5. So you should be like, you're still then 6-7 hours behind the winner. So that places you in sort of the middle field. But evidently there is a few teams that will sleep there. We worked on about 40% of the field will sleep there. But it's a nice place to sleep. Take some meat.
It's a nice deal. Put some food in, nice campsite, looking over the river. It's beautiful, so it's okay.
Not a bad place to spend a Saturday night.
Okay, is there any more questions?
But any questions at any time in the next few days, you WhatsApp us, phone us, anytime. We just ask us, we can help you as much as we possibly can.
What the fuck was that?
Guys,
Hey.
again? Terence? Are you saying something? Guys, just from my side, for the resorts, from the resort side, just make sure that when you do your registration on Friday night, and I mean, we had a race now 2 weeks back in Heidelberg, and the problems at registration we had is please just to respect the resort rules and the whole thing about, you know, the whole COVID rules for them. Everybody must have a mask on. Don't come and stand in the line for us and I need to send you back to have a mask. So obviously just respect that, and also respect the social distancing, you know, when you come and line up. And then also please, I've again had at the previous race a lot of guys who arrived and stood in the line, and then when you got to the front, your forms weren't signed or they weren't printed. Then I have to send you back, or I have to give you a form to go and fill it in. So meet up as a team, make sure everything is signed and ready when you're in the line, so it doesn't make, actually it made a huge mess, and people stand in the front and then they want to come back and then they want to push back again. So yeah, just when you're ready, come and stand in the line and make sure all your paperwork is done, and I don't have to like treat you like a school child and send you back to get yourself sorted out. And I think from my side, just on a personal note, I'm going to say it again and again. We've worked very hard in this race to get permissions at farms. We would never ever get permission to come and do this event. You know what I mean? And just one mistake is going to put us into big trouble with certain people. So please, just no litter, no, greet the farmers and the people, be friendly, be respectful. And I think we all know in today's time we need to respect our farmers with utmost respect and care. Otherwise, it's going to make it for us, for the future event organizers, just harder and harder. And we already struggle to obviously get permission to go. Anything at night becomes a big problem. So yeah, just from our side, please respect all the people so that we can come back in our future events. And then as well, please support the resort. You know, the resort is a major partner for our event and supporting us now for, you know, a lot of years. And they've also been going through a very hard time in the last 6 months. So please come and finish the race, have a beer, have a drink, have a meal. And yeah, just like I say, support everybody so that we all can be still in business in the future. So any more questions from our side? Happy? Everybody happy? Okay, I think now it's the time to unmute yourself and say, yay, we're happy. So give me some energy, give me some love. Okay, everybody, lots of love from us. See you on Friday. And call us if you need any more help or support. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Russell, bye. Go, Donnie, you've got work to do. Go, Don, go.
Don, I put all the forms out there, so you know there's no forms.
We're not allowed to hug and kiss you, hello?
That's not most.
A mask and a hug kiss or what?
A mask? Yeah, you're going to give me a big hug, all of you. So, like, when I'm with a mask, a big
Cheers,
hug.
guys. See you soon.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
bye, Craig.
Yeah,
see you.
Yes, cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Turn you guys off.
Huh?
Oh. How did I turn you off?
Donnie, there's a button on the
And
right.
it's Wednesday night, huh?
Where's the night? Hurry up.
I can't wait. You're holding me up, Tom. Yes.
Bye, bye, bye. Donnie, on the bottom right. Bye bye, everyone.
Yeah,
Love.
On the so as long as we get off the panel.
It's children.
Bye, Nikki. Bye.
Russ,
Beth.
I'm going to send you a Google Meets link quickly, okay?
Okay.
Check your WhatsApp. Sorry, internals. Bye.
Bye.